At its core, the tek.drum is an 8-track, 8-voice, 16-step drum sequencer. Bass drum, a snare drum, hi-hat, clap, toms, percussion, a cymbal, and a synth bass. The interface on the left hand side, you'll see 4 control knobs. We have the shift button, which allows you to select tracks or patterns. It also lets me edit the global functions such as tempo and volume. There's a record and a play button, and also a listen button, which I just use to listen to or live trigger voices, or to mute tracks when playing back patterns. Let's start making a beat. I'll select the bass drum and add some steps for a simple 4 to the floor. If I want to change the tempo, I'll use the global function. And every drum sound has 4 parameters. Let's listen to what kind of sounds we can make from this bass drum. Very short, very clicky, or very long decay. The effect is a distortion unit. Let's switch to the hi-hat. Now, we try to make these voices as versatile as possible. Everything is synthesized and not just sample playback for the most part. For example, this hi-hat will allow me to have a very wide range of sounds. When I lower the pitch, we get a very different tonal character that can be useful if you want to make some clicky beats. All these knob movements can be automated, which is why we only have one hi-hat and not a closed and an open. We can just make a hi-hat by editing certain steps. Let's do some volume or velocity sensitivity. I can try to live record the decay. Or I can try again, erase all the recording and do it step by step. I'll just hold down a step button and then add or tweak the parameter I want to change. For example, on these 3, 7, 15 and 11, I'd like a longer decay. So I'm just going to select this, open the decay, do the same here, just twiddle the knob. See, I can still tweak it, but I can only tweak those steps that didn't have their decay altered. In the case of the snare and the hi-hat, there's a phaser and a delay send. So the bass drum had distortion. The other sounds all have a delay. For example, I'll add a clap. The timing and feedback of those delay are again global parameters, so I can change them while holding the shift button. I've been step sequencing up until now. I can also use, like I use the listen button over here. I can also use the record button while I'm playing. That way I can actually record any voice I want. I don't have to select the track. I can play any voice with the record button while the pattern is running. If we look at the synth voice, We can automate the pitch, which would mean that we can have it play back melodies. Same thing goes for the tom. I could have a nice tom fill that has a lot of toms, but if I want to have different pitches, I can just automate the pitch button. The listen button also acts as on the one hand side, as a visual representation of what's playing. You can see the bass drum playing, the synths playing 8s, and I can use the button row to mute. I'm still working in pattern 1. I can choose up to 8 patterns. This now is an empty pattern, but I can also copy them by using the record button 1 to 2. If I listen to pattern 2 and pattern 1 are now the same. Let me unmute everything. Go to the first one, I don't do the snare fill here. I go to the second one and I do a big snare fill. You can always, during playback, change between patterns, but you can also link them together. If I just do 1 and 2, up to 8 of these adjacent patterns can be played one after the other and keep looping. I'd like to show you every drum voice in detail now. Let's start with the bass. So from very low to pretty high, very short decays till very long, and we've got distortion to dirty it up. Snare drum. There's a phaser included in these effects next to the delay. Hi-hat. As I mentioned, it has quite a bit of range. Kind of sounds like an unstable filter over here. Has the same phaser and delay effect as the snare. The clap. Toms. Simple pitch and decay. They have a bit of an overdriven sound to them. Percussion. Now, percussion has its pitch, but the decay actually does something different. It allows you to choose between 3 different percussion sounds. We have a sort of zap sound, which can be more like a rim shot at low pitches. Then we have a bit of a clave type sound, or a analog bongo, or just a generic analog percussion sound. And then we have a pseudo cowbell from the 80s. They also have a delay effect. Nice thing is that you can automate the selecting of the voice, which means that you have not 8 sounds in these 8 voices, but actually 10 different sounds. For example, let's say I want this one to be a different sound, and this one also. If I want to automate and only have these one at a lower pitch, I just hold that step. Let's say I only want to have a delay on this step. I just hold the button and I add delay. Next up is a cymbal. Sound is a bit of a combination between sample playback and a noise source. And lastly, the synth bass. Synth bass has its pitch parameter, but here it is being quantized to semitones. So that means we can play melodies with it, and we're always in the correct pitch. Second parameter is a filter and not a decay, but it's the filter.